It'll start drying here in a little bit. And we can do some stuff with it. Let's get a little start in it. Come back. Pull some of that over there. Let's get a little tone going here. I'll start with. How many watercolors do we have? I think all of you pretty much like to dibble in it, don't you?
We do.
Dibble in the watercolor.
Well, actually, I've never painted with watercolors or acrylics, so this is a wonderful experience.
Well, it's fun, and everybody says, "Oh, I can't paint in watercolor. It's just not forgiving enough." But actually, for me, it's probably the most forgiving. Yeah, I'll just jump around here and start getting us some.
Did you start with a particular type of painting when you started painting? Was it mostly watercolor?
I started out with oil. Started out right here in West Jefferson,
Right here in town?
right here in town. If you go over
With Flossie.
with Flossie and Archie, didn't you?
Yeah.
And
Put that in the minutes.
Flossie and Archie.
we had a little brick building. We had a little brick building and a cinder block building, and it was a little coal stove inside. And it was you had all these great fumes. You had all these great fumes coming out of the turpentine, because back then
Oh, yes.
there was no odor-free
Oh, man.
turpentine.
In
We
cold
knew
weather,
that.
that was,
Did you get a little high, did you?
Now I know why I took up art. You know, we'd come out of there and everybody's eyes were bugging out of their head. It just beat all I've ever seen. And that's where it started, you know.
It's been downhill since.
Yeah, let it be. That was what it was. I'll have to answer to my wife when all this is over. I usually ask her not to be a part, because then I feel free to bloviate.
Well, who were Flossie and Archie?
They were two great ladies that loved art,
Really?
and they didn't have any formal training, but they both had the ability to paint and draw a little bit, just enough to, you know, make it fun. And it was you all don't know how hard this is.
Molly, did you study with Flossie and Archie too?
That explains a lot.
Well, you know, you wonder why, you know, most artists, anybody in the arts, they have a little problem, you know that. And that's probably where a lot of it starts, all that inhalation stuff. It could start there. They say turpentine leads to harder drugs, and I guess it does.
well, let me just say, today you don't have all that odor.
And of course, all the model building that all those guys did as kids, you know, all that glue.
Yes.
Gosh.
Oh, we used to eat glue when I was a kid.
Oh, well, I didn't eat
Yeah.
it.
Flour and water?
The paste.
Yeah, Charlie
The
Olsen
glue they used
used
in
the white
kindergarten or whatever.
Yeah.
Ate it. Tasted good.
Yeah. Very sweet.
When I I've eaten a dog biscuit or two when I was a kid, but I didn't.
That's all you had.
Well, it was, I can remember coming home and nothing but dog biscuits and a pot of collard greens now. And I love my collard greens, don't get me wrong. But an old dog biscuit once in a while kind of filled in the gaps. Y'all tried to
You grew strong.
Have you tried? Yeah, I grew all right.
It didn't stunt your growth.
No, it didn't stop my growth. Y'all kind of see where we're going with this thing a little bit. Just kind of getting in some tones.
Now, are these gonna be rocks that you're producing crevices and edges for?
Gosh, I'm glad you said that.
Put some crevices in.
That's what you're seeing.
Stephen, where does the dry brush come into this? I told you I'd do that. That's the dry brush effect right there.
There you go.
Dry brush, we know what dry brush is. Dry brush is not a dry brush. Watercolor is usually that. We do a little thing, and then we can come in and we can say we can pull it out and we've got a little mountain top, or if we know what watercolor is. Manipulating the water. Mostly the water does most of the work. And I love a good watercolorist because I'm not a watercolorist of sorts. It's dry brush, it's drawing. That's what I do with this brush. I draw with a brush. And it's just, Andrew Wyeth is probably best known for coming up with that technique because it's just not a whole lot of, you're not manipulating the paint within the water. My neck is going to be so sore. I visited these falls not long ago, and they're over in Avery County. They are absolutely fantastic. If you ever get a chance.
Where are they?
Nancy?
What? Off of 194, when you're driving between Banner Elk and Elk Park.
Yeah, it's Elk, what do they call it, Elk River?
It's Elk River Falls.
Yeah.
And you have to hike down to it, so I can't tell you how to get there. I haven't been, but I've been along the river there. And I know there's one point where it drops off pretty, you can tell that it drops off, but you can't see it from the road. They had to hike down in there to take pictures.
They're just absolutely
There's
gorgeous.
a point there where Elk River Road or Elk Creek Road turns off at 194, and it's down there somewhere. It's real popular. You can look it up on the under Elk River Falls and find directions.
Is it near Tennessee, the Tennessee line?
It's not right near. It's before you get to Elk Park, so it's probably 10 miles from Tennessee.
Yeah, I've been over there.
It's just
Down near Heaton.
it's
It's for a piece from here.
It's a big falls. It's a tremendous falls.
I got a lot of
I wonder if there's any water in it now, though. Water in our river.
Yeah, it always flows.
Nothing.
When you run out of anything else to say, Stephen, tell us a little bit about this thing you're going to do out at Florence in the evening, line and whittling.
We're going to do a drawing class next week. And then we're gonna do a little, I love to whittle. And whittle is just another extension of drawing. You just take away everything from what you're whittling on. It don't look like what you're whittling, and there you are.
That's why it's so easy.
It's pretty easy. We're gonna do a little drawing, just a little drawing class. Set up a problem.
Will you be carving wood?
We're gonna have some wood, and we're gonna have some, maybe a little soapstone. Right now, the class hasn't materialized. I don't think they've got enough in the, they may have enough in the carving. I know the drawing class is full. It filled up pretty quick. See how I can take that off?
How many do you need for the other class? Or do they need?
I think they like to have 6, 7 in the class, and so they're still working on that.
Do you recall when it is?
The drawing class starts next Thursday,
It is next Thursday, and the other one's the 12th or 14th.
and
12 and 14. Good night.
You need to sign up early if you possibly can, because the classes will be canceled 2 weeks before they start if you don't have the
yeah.
number that's required.
Do you prefer doing watercolor flat or on an easel?
Flat. Well, actually, I've got a big table, and I have it at an angle. I used to do it on the wall. I had a big hinged door off the wall, and I would just stand up and do it, and that worked real good.
Is there any importance of stepping back from it to look at it, or is that not important in?
Oh, I take as much time stepping back from it and looking at it as I do
Okay.
painting it. Yeah.
When you painted this scene, did you take a photograph of it and then paint it in your office, or did you paint it right out there?
I did the photograph and right back in the cave.
Oh.
I hate to battle the elements, but it's fun. I've done that. I like to go out on location sometimes and sketch. Just take my sketch pad and go out and do a little of that. That works good. This green, I want to know where some of the color's coming from. Some of this shadow creep up under that a little bit. And come back and lift a little bit. This is when the old cheap brush comes in. And see, really, it's pretty dry. That's what we mean by dry brush. It's just I'm gonna lose just all but a little bit of my sky. That's why I wanted just that little bit of dark up there to give it a little mystery. You thought I was kidding, didn't you? We'll keep coming back and building that up a little.
Do you often paint the same scene
Oh,
several times?
Oh, I've done the same scene a lot of times. Maybe a different angle, a little, Andrew Wythe painted in 2 places. He painted at Chadds Ford, Pennsylvania, and he painted in Cushing, Maine. And he painted the same scenes over and over and over and over again. He'd get up on the hill and paint it looking down, and get down below, and he'd paint it looking up. And he might get up and paint it looking down on it again. Each time it's different. It's a different interpretation. It works.